have Amy with me now. Hee-haw. This is the final week of our fiber gifts this year for the year of 2023. So we're gonna do the same thing that we always do, and we'll open the box and let you know what's inside.
And of course, it's our favorite thing to do at the end of the fiber gifts is to talk about which books that we actually can add to our stash. We talk about yarn stash all the time. I personally am a bookaholic.
I love books.
I have to say, there's several books in here I do not have, which was kind of a rude awakening for me because I was completely amazed. So the first book, and I will start with, is the Weaving Handbook. And I do not have this book, which blows my mind because it is a lot about Swedish weaving terminology too, centimeters, things like that. But what I really like about it is it gives lots of projects, and it gives them, the pictures are gorgeous of the projects, but actually back here in the back, where it goes through pieces and parts, they actually have the drafts. This right here is very important because if you don't necessarily do their theories that they do, you can still copy the drafts with the patterns, but you can also see what the projects looks like. And they've done pillows, they've done all kinds of different things, they've got different techniques, and I think that's a big thing. If people would focus on the smaller bits and pieces of the weaving, then your whole project looks good. So one less book on the shelf for y'all to buy, because I have to have this one. All right,
it's a cool
first
book.
one, get it.
The pictures are really beautiful.
They're very nice, very nice, clean.
Yeah, well, and then
clean.
just the like projects themselves, they look all like rustic, but in not a shabby way, if that makes sense. Like very classic, very Swedish. To be honest, it's really pretty. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
So now I have one for you, and it is hand dyeing yarn and fleece. Everybody wants to learn how to dye. This is a road I have not crossed yet, so this is also, like her, something I don't have in my repertoire. And I love this book. It's spiral bound, which is an A+ for everything, absolutely everything, all the time. But it's especially nice because it's just, the pictures are beautiful, obviously. It has a lot of, you've got your Crayola over here, a lot of talk about color theory and that kind of thing, which is really important when you're dyeing because you can easily put two things together that look beautiful separately and they turn into mud. Yeah, when you get it together. So it's really important to be able to figure out, what goes good with this, what can I expect of these two things when they marry, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of talk about that. There's a lot of talk about just this I like a lot. Troubleshooting, excellent, I love it. Why is this going wrong? What have I done? What can I do better next time? That's great, I love this. And there are just lots of projects in the back as well. So like hers was full of projects, this one's full of projects too. So this is something that she hand dyed that red yarn there, and did the knitting pattern for it. It's a super cool kangaroo mittens. This is so neat. So there's a bunch in here, it's not just this one obviously. Random page, a hat. There you go. So there's all kinds of really good dye information. Check this out. I love this illustration in particular of mixed color and what it does at the edges and how it feathers out, and then single color and how it doesn't do it. I just think that's so cool. So that's the kind of like technical information you can expect out of this book. But it's also going to take you like step by step through how to do just regular immersion dyeing and dip dyeing and that kind of thing, which is really super cool. So very nice book. Very nice.
This book I have, but I recommend it.
It's a nice
I've
one.
recommended it. It's called Scrappy Hooked Rugs.
Yes.
I do hook rugs. I also weave. I have to say, B. Brock, most of the rug hookers who have come into the store highly recommended her. And then when I started looking at this book, absolutely wonderful. This is what you do with your scraps left over from hooking. And everybody will compile that by the time they finish. Her rugs are absolutely phenomenal, and they're all done with scraps. So I will say, and I want to flip through this one page if I can find it, she does a lot of geometrics, but this is what I really like about it. She uses the folding of snowflakes in my old generation of how to design. And as you start seeing some of her designs, it's all bits and pieces, and that's what's absolutely wonderful about this. Very much colorful, and how to combine the colors, highly recommended. If you have a rug hooker in your pile to buy for Christmas, absolutely wonderful because everybody has scraps. So Big Rock,
too.
very good book.
Yes.
Scrappy.
All right, so we've been on a crochet kick here in the shop. So we've got a couple of crochet books for you. This one is Crochet Cute Critters. And this one is really neat. I like it because it's not based on anything in particular. These are just designs that this person has created, which is really cool. Look at him, he's so cute. He's got his little curly hair. But anyway, there are tons of little guys in here. I'm just going to show you like this. Bear, kitty cat, a couple of ones. So there are patterns all in the back, but then there's lots of like beginner information here in the front. So it'll get you going, and then it will give you a bajillion patterns to choose from. So you've got quite a lot in here. The biggest thing that I want to make a note of with this book, which may be both important for you to know and also really exciting for some folks, depending on what your yarn stash looks like, is that this person in particular is using acrylic yarn. It's Bernat Super Value, which is a worsted weight yarn, acrylic. You can use any like fiber content of yarn, but if you have lots of worsted weight yarn, here's a book for you. They're all made with worsted weight. So if you like that, if you want to do some crochet, you've never crocheted before, then there you go. This is a cute little book. I just love, I'm so soft-hearted for kitty cats, so I love that the little kitty cats want to.
All right, continuing the theme. This is on another crochet book. This is the Woobles one. I crocheted 30 years ago, and I'm telling a little bit of my age, and it was just a big old blanket. But this one, I mean, these little critters are so cute. To me, in one critter, you can learn more techniques between making circles, advancing, adding parts, closing it off, adding a color, putting eyes on it, everything on this one. So, oh my goodness.
Look at him.
They are, and what this is, it is very well written because you have a project, you have everything here, you've got the exact way to do it, tells you it in different steps, absolutely. Here's another one. So, man, you could do a whole space theme on this. So I really think, you know, there's your stars, any of this. These would make great pens for kids, for teachers. You could actually do ornaments out of these if somebody wanted a themed crochet ornament. Mobiles, any of that kind of stuff. Just making sure that things are properly tied off so that a small child can't get to it. But I think this is a great idea. It is, this is like a little birthday thing on the back, which is really cute. But I think this would be a really good book if you're really into this or you're just starting because it has some really good beginner patterns.
They're so cute.
Crochet.
I love that little astronaut guy.
Crochet.
I did not know he was in there.
Crochet.
Amigurumi.
Thank you.
Which is what all of these little guys are. Anytime you see the little shaped like critters and things in crochet in particular, it's amigurumi is what it's based off of. So, all right, much more down my alley, something that I understand. I'm not a crocheter, but those books are kind of convincing me maybe a little bit. But I am a spinner and have been a spinner for many years. And this book is
neat,
beautiful. I just love it. It's wonderful. It's all about drop spindles. And I think that
highly
drop spindles,
unusual.
It's so hard to find a really good book on drop spindles. Of course, Abby Frankmont is the name that everyone should know if you don't know it. But this book, this person, really, this excellent book, you really should consider picking it up. Even if you are a person who spins on a spinning wheel, having the sort of the kind of repertoire in your head of techniques and things that you can do without the necessity of a spinning wheel is great. And then you can also take all of these things, everything that this person explains in this book, you can take that and put it into your spinning wheel techniques as well. It's just a lovely book of all kinds of different techniques. Of course, how to get started on a spindle, which is very important, of course, but also how to process fleece, how to make your own bats, and how beautiful that is. Hang on. Ugh. Look how beautiful that is. And then there's also actually a little tiny bit of dyeing in here as well. So if you're interested in just dipping your toes into some dyeing stuff, there is that as well. This is just a lovely book. Please, if you like spinning, and even if you are an accomplished spinner, it never hurts to have, how do I make these little curlies? How do I do all of this? And learning how to do it on a spindle is super cool because then it means that it's easily doable. Because a spindle is just a stick and a rock, which is super cool.
And it gives the yarn a modern twist. That's what it says in there. I think
Yes.
that's really cool. It's not the traditional. It's got some really arty yarn.
Yes.
All right, so the next book, if anybody knows me, I've done several videos on punched needle.
I love this book.
And we did offer a punch needle for one of the gifts. And this one is, I do not have this one.
Look so cute.
And these are, it's almost like using punch needle as embellishments on different things. What I found fascinating about this book is that I promote weaver's cloth, especially for beginners, because they are very much into punching too much or too hard to rip the fabric. Most everything in here is done on linen. Now, you'd have to read the book specifically on using linen, because that's going into a whole different genre with linen versus weaver's cloth. But the ideas is what I really like about it. A lot of my books are basically ideas. But it goes through on how to transfer pattern, and it's a very tight book, I have to say. I don't want to fold the pages too much on this, but some of hers, like this, she talks about, actually making it, putting it on here, changing colors. These are flowers. She does give the patterns too. So you actually have the patterns in here. She goes through some animals, different things. But this is a linen background, which I have to say, we don't sell this type of linen because it's very, very small. So if you're just into trying a different fabric or using this as design inspiration, it's not a bad book. It's pretty good. To me, I hadn't thought about it. She does a lot of purses, a lot of different things like that. And some people have been calling about that. So this is actually a pretty interesting book. It actually says 11 artful punch needle projects to embroider with floss, and floss means DMC or gentle art or even Veldani. Okay.
I love those little fruits. They're so cute.
They're cute.
I love them.
Very cute.
All right. So we got one for the knitters. I am a knitter, but I'm a very bad knitter. I'm not afraid to admit it. This is an excellent book. I had never seen it before. I picked it up off the shelf. We were looking for a spread of things to do this year, and I opened it and I was immediately like, oh, this is a nice book. So I highly recommend it. It is absolute beginner, baby business.
Very
exactly.
Visually beginnery.
And I love these illustrations. It is an illustrated version of all of the stitch techniques and that kind of thing. Instead of just having photos of yarn that might be a little fuzzy and hard to see, or a little unfocused or with hands in the way, this has none of that. It is all hands-free, photo-free, beautiful illustrations that are very clear, very easy to see, which I love. I think that is so nice. And there's just tons of stuff in here. I could go over what's in here, but wow.
Good samples and examples.
Wow. Yes, incredible samples, examples. I believe there are even some patterns in the back. Yeah, just a handful of patterns. Of course, this book is much less about teaching you how to do patterns in particular, and much more about improving your knitting literacy. So how to do things, what certain things mean. There's a glossary in here, which is super nice. It's just a really well-rounded, nice book for a very beginner knitter, or even an intermediate knitter, somebody who has knit a couple of things and still doesn't know a lot of the stuff, what it means, and all that. So if you're one of those people, consider that book. It's really nice.
All right, so we are a weaving store, and I'm doing another weaving book.
Yay. I like this one too.
So this one I don't have either, because it's the second edition to the first one they have, and this is what it's Welcome to Weaving 2. They have Welcome to Weaving, but this is 2. Okay, so in this one, it is about technique. It is about using scrap pieces. As you can tell, we all have thrones left over, and we have different things. But it also is great about different types of techniques and things like this. This actually shows twining, how to add, how to do fringe, techniques. Once again, Danny had mentioned one time before that if you learn techniques, you can take it to a bigger project or another project, or, to me, you're building your information on how to do things. And in this one, because it shows specifically different steps, I think that's really helpful. A lot of people are YouTube people or video people. I'm primarily a book person. So when I can find something like this, to me, it's a slow process of learning it, because I can see each step and I can complete it. But anyway, it is really good about doing all kinds of tapestry stuff, different techniques, frame looms. It is a nice technique book. So if you have Welcome to Weaving 1, this is the second version too, so definitely add this one to your stash.
And this in particular is weft-faced weaves, yes?
It could be, depending on how much you want to pack it. I'm not sure in some of these if they actually
Yes, a little bit of both.
A lot of them were when I was talking to Annie about it, was twining, was lino weave, different ways to basically manipulate the warp to become part of your design. When most people do a weft face design. So this could add to it. You could add that to the fringe part or the border or whatever. So I think it's frame loom weaving, but it's actually what you learn on this you could easily take to a loom, rigid heddle or to a floor loom. But you have to be able to see the technique in what you're doing.
I love the inside cover. That's such
Very
a cool
nice.
picture. I love that. That's so cool.
If you have a cat, don't do this. Okay.
They're terrible. Terrible little adorable monsters. This is, I think, my favorite book in the whole group. And it's mostly just because I'm not a history nerd. I love information. I love to hear about things I've never heard about before, see things I've never seen before, make connections in my head to things that I know about but that I never considered. And this book, Book of the Earth, is all about that kind of thing. It is more of a coffee table style book, but there's a lot of really incredibly interesting information in here. We try to do one every year that's a little bit less this is how you weave, this is how you knit, this is how you crochet, and more like, here's some really interesting both historical and technical background on the stuff that you're working with. And I think that is so cool. This is all about pigment. So the photos, obviously, because it's more of a coffee table style book, I should say, the photos are stunning. And there's just tons of like report style information. This is my favorite part. She laughed at me because I got so excited about this.
I don't have this book either. And this is a very finely laid out book.
It's so cool. So they have these spreads here, and there are multiples of these. Let's see if I can find another one real quick, like this. See? So they have these frames of, they're just stuff in like a frame. And then they have them all numbered over here. So like this one is numbered over here. And when you turn the page, it shows you not only the pigments that they make, but it also tells you what each one is and where it came from, which is so cool. So all of these are numbered and it explains everything. And then it goes into, kind of report style detail of like what all this stuff is, where it came from, what it's about, why it's historically important, if it's historically important. It's just such a cool book. Here's another one. I'm so in love with this layout in particular. I think it is so cool. And just the work that goes into this, it's hard not to appreciate, because this I'm so certain took so much time and effort on the part of everyone involved to get this all put together, and it's just beautiful. So if you like informational books that are supplementary to all of your stuff that you do, especially if you're somebody who's interested in dyeing, like I had all my dyeing books over here, if that's interesting to you, just having this on the back burner to check out and appreciate and just be amazed at the vastness of pigment and color and where we've gotten it from over the years, this is a really super cool book, and I highly recommend it. I will be getting one.
It is a nice book.
It's so cool.
It is, very much, very much. So guys, I hope you actually get to look at our books and get to see all the new selections and stuff. We're always looking for great books that maybe y'all haven't seen, or maybe you're just wondering whether you should buy it, but we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Goodbye. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next year.